Thank you, Dr. Foster. First, I want to start by saying thank you to everyone for coming out and taking time out of your day to listen to me kind of present and talk about what my ag ed journey has been like and what I look forward to doing in Boonesboro. So just to start out, a little bit about me. So who am I? So my name is Miss Stauffer. I'm originally from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, so the southeast region of Pennsylvania. I've been an FFA member since high school, so ever since I got into that ag ed program in high school, I've been an active member of FFA. I've participated in various CDEs and SAE events. I never thought that I would be an ag teacher. I always thought that I wanted to be a veterinarian, and then I figured out that being a veterinarian requires a lot of math, which is not my favorite subject. So I graduated from Lynn Peter Strasburg High School. I was class of 2015, and I've pretty much been a Penn State girl since birth. My dad's a huge Penn State fan, so coming to Penn State was not really an option for me if I was going to come or not. It was, you're going here whether you like it or not. So phase one, who do I aspire to be as an ag teacher? So classroom management. So I made these awesome posters for my classroom. So my expectations, procedures, and consequences, all of which align with Ms. Cashell's. So basically, it's pretty simple. The expectations are to respect yourself, be responsible, be safe, actively listen, follow directions, and stay on task. Procedures. They have personal folders that Ms. Cashell-Martin has also implemented with them. So they have daily bell work, and they also have a ticket out that they'll complete every single day. And any assignments, I'm going to implement a Turn-It-In bin for them to hand in those assignments as well. Consequences. I'm not a fan of consequences at all. I think that students know when they do something wrong, and there shouldn't really be anything else that's to it. However, obviously for safety reasons and for classroom management reasons, consequences are essential. So the first offense is a warning. The second offense is detention with myself. The third offense is a call home and a parent-teacher conference. And the fourth offense is an office referral. Obviously, depending on the severity of those offenses, I reserve the right to skip over any of them at any given point in time. So as far as that goes, we've also participated in labs this semester. And through those labs, we've had classroom management roles. There's a couple of things that have kind of stuck out to me that I struggle with. I struggle with the kids that have their head down in class, that are sleeping during class, that may not have had enough sleep last night or may have something else going on at home. And also the chatty Cathy. I think that a lot of times students like to communicate with themselves, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but finding that right time to cut them off and get them back on task and redirected is definitely something that I'd like to work on. And my goals, as soon as I get into that classroom, I want to have my expectations, procedures, and consequences right up front so that they know what I expect, and we're going to go over those on the first day of every class so that there's no questions about, well, Ms. Cashell doesn't do it this way, but Ms. Stauffer does it this way, that they know what my expectations are right from the get-go. So on your handout, the very first page is my teaching philosophy, and there's also an infographic. Basically, the idea behind my teaching philosophy is everything should be student-centered. I believe heavily in hands-on learning. Agriculture is heavily hands-on learning. I think that students learn best when they have something tactile in their hands to do. Career-focused. Everything that we do in agriculture education should relate to careers within agriculture. Students may not want to go to college and get a 4-year degree, but if they have a passion for something else, they should be able to express that passion throughout their classes within the agriculture education program. And everything should follow the 3-circle model. The 3-circle model is something that I believe in a lot. As a whole, ag ed doesn't do a very well job of implementing SAE. And with SAE for All, the new SAE program, I think that we'll have a better understanding of how to implement those SAEs within our class and the laboratory instructions instead of having, so that we can increase our SAE outcome. And intercurricular. We do this a lot on our lesson plans. All of our lesson plans have our agriculture standards as well as our academic standards. everything that we do should be intercurricular. Everything should relate somehow to another subject areas that our students are currently working in. So something that we had to do is make a model program in our program planning handbook. So this is an example of my model program curriculum with the scope and sequence. I would do an introduction to ag course in the freshman year, and then sophomore year they could do wood shop, vet science, or horticulture. Obviously, I would like to have a 2-teacher program, so if that teacher would want to add on something else or take one of those classes away from me, I would be perfectly okay with that. And then we would do small gas engines, vet science 2, greenhouse management, and ag mechanics or landscape and plant design. And all of those hours would add up to the 1320 that is required for the zip code for general ag. Something that is kind of interesting about this scope and sequence is that I am not very strong in the areas of plant science and ag mechanics. Those are areas that I could definitely work on, which I'm actually going to get the opportunity to do. I'll talk to you a little bit about that later at Boonesboro. Animal science is definitely my strong point. So I would definitely like to implement plant science and greenhouse and ag mechanics so that I can grow in those areas with my students and truly learn with my students. So this is an example of, this would be a senior level landscape and plant design. So they would have already gone through the horticulture and a general plant science curriculum, and they would go to the landscape and plant design course to kind of implement those really thoroughly and understand the principles of design. So for my comprehensive lab integration plan, I created, I don't have a picture of it up here, I actually forgot about that, but I implemented an ag mechanics lab. So in that laboratory there's multiple tools. The laboratory would be connected to my classroom, so that way I would have a clear pathway that I can see students both in the shop and outside of the shop. And my $15 project is actually this Christmas tree shelf. With the holidays right around the corner, I thought that it was a great idea to do a Christmas tree shelf. So my students in a woodshop class would be doing this project. It is a little bit intricate, so it would probably be towards the end of the course, but it got me to think a lot about how to explain things to students and how to budget and be economical. So SAE and FFA integration. At Boonesboro, they just implemented affiliation. So Pennsylvania has had an affiliate membership for a while now. Maryland just implemented it recently. So from that, my motivation strategies are going to be social events. Obviously, everyone loves to go to the social events that FFA has to offer. Positivity and engagement. I want to make sure that I'm being positive with all of my students throughout every single class that I'm teaching. Parliamentary procedure, LDE. This semester I got the opportunity to be a teaching assistant for Dr. Foster in his parliamentary procedure class, and that really helped me to learn how to teach students about parliamentary procedure and also learn more about parliamentary procedure myself. Veterinary science, obviously with my Vet Science 1 and Vet Science 2 classes, they would be interested in those. Floriculture with my plant science students. And then agriculture, technology, and mechanical systems career development events, as well as monthly meetings. So for my community-based unit of instruction at Boonesboro, they already have a kind of like this and integrated into the program. With Ms. Cashell's floriculture students, they do 2 monthly arrangements, one that the students get to take home and one that they sell to the community, which acts as a fundraiser. So to take that from a fundraiser to kind of a community-based unit and how I can impact the community, I'm going to have the students create an arrangement and create a lesson plan that they can then have a workshop for community members to teach them how to make the floral arrangement as well. So these are some of the floral arrangements that we made at Boonesboro. So program recruitment. Sarah Lang and I were able to create a recruitment video, which I will play for you. obviously, that recruitment video highlighted some of the students that Sarah actually has at her cooperating center, but it also highlighted some of the things that we both were involved in throughout our FFA and agriculture careers. As agriculture educators, our newness is going to wear off. The kids are going to get tired of us. But from hearing from their peers, they're going to learn that you can do all of these fun things through FFA and through the agriculture education program. Phase 2. What experiential education opportunities have I engaged in to become a better agricultural educator? So, growing experiences. Some things that I've been able to be involved with while I was here at Penn State. Recently, I was able to represent Center County as the Miss Agriculture USA. So what that program does is essentially does outreach to community members to educate the community about agriculture. And specifically for me, I like to educate them about agriculture education and why it's important and how we can become better consumers in today's society. I've also been able to be a Teach Ag Avenger, so I've gotten to go out into the local high schools all across the state of Pennsylvania and present workshops and lessons to those students, and it's really helped me to become a better educator as well and learn how to develop workshops that are going to be engaging for the students. And the last picture is all of us with the PSU Ag Ed 20 cohort at Fall Leadership Conference in Altoona. So from that, we got to work together with our PSU Ag Ed 20 members and PSU Ag Ed 19 members and create a workshop for those members as well. Specifically, this was for FFA officers. So kind of going over the duties of the officers and how we can become better officers within our programs. So relevant agriculture coursework. So for agriculture and extension education, some of my favorite courses have to be AE 295, which was where I got to go and I got to observe Boonesboro and multiple different programs, because when I started this journey, I didn't really know what to look for. I didn't really know what I wanted. So I got to go and I got to experience those programs and really get to know the programs both inside Pennsylvania and now outside of Pennsylvania and how they differ and what are their strengths and weaknesses and what I think that I can do as an educator to make them better or to make them better overall or to sustain what they're doing. Also, Agriculture and Extension Education 412. This has opened my eyes to the principles that go into teaching. Obviously, teaching is an art and a science, but without the science part and without the logic behind it, you can't have the art. You need to make sure that you know what you're doing before you go into the classroom and actually do it. AEE 350 with Dr. Ewing was our teaching methods lab. We took 349 last year, and we got to really immerse ourselves in the shop and in the projects within the shop. And then this semester we were able to explain how we would implement certain things to students, and we got to put on both our student hat and our teacher hat to figure out how we can follow directions and how we can go about teaching students about agriculture mechanics labs. And the last one is AEE 311. I had this last fall with Dr. Curry, and I really enjoyed just getting to dive deeper into youth organizations, specifically FFA, and learning that drinking the Kool-Aid isn't always the best thing. As Dr. Curry would say, that was definitely my favorite quote from that class, and I think that that is something that as ag educators we need to be aware of, is that drinking the Kool-Aid doesn't make you a better FFA member. Obviously that's part of it and the rituals are part of it, but just because you do that doesn't mean that you're going to be the best FFA member in the world. And otherwise, my favorite coursework, Animal Science 201. This was a hard class, but it really made me think and made me realize that all of the information that he was giving to us is relevant information that we can give to our students. And a lot of times I look back at those and I use them when I'm doing animal science lesson plans. I'm doing a unit at Boonesboro about animal science. So incorporating all of that information that he presented to us in Animal Science 201 has definitely made it helpful when producing lesson plans for the future. and also Horticulture 101. Like I said before, plant science is not my strong point, but Horticulture 101 kind of got me to dig deeper into that as well, and got me to think about how to implement those procedures and those qualities into my horticulture classes and my plant science curriculum. So that was kind of a general plant physiology class, and obviously we all had probably some type of plant and animal science in middle school or in high school, but digging deeper into it in college has definitely helped me grow. I'm also pursuing a minor. So I'm pursuing a minor in special education. So I included 2 of those classes. Special Education 461, which was Autism Spectrum Disorders. That class really touched me, and I really enjoyed that at Altoona. And Special Education 403B was implementing evidence-based practices into Common Core standards. So implementing them into my classroom and not necessarily into a special education classroom, but really making those students feel included within our classes. Certifications. So this semester we had the opportunity to get certified in a couple different things. I chose to get certified in Serve Safe Food Handling, NSTMOP, National Safe Tractor and Machinery Operations. I'm American Red Cross First Aid CPR AED certified, and also I'm a National Accredited Registered Parliamentarian. So those are just some of the opportunities that I hope that will help me to increase my student teaching experience. Professional organizations. 2 of the big special professional organizations that have impacted me specifically throughout the past year is NAAE, the National Association for Agriculture Educators, and PAAE, the Pennsylvania Association for Agriculture Educators. So Pennsylvania Association for Agriculture Educators, we were able to go to the conference in York, Pennsylvania this summer, and just interact with those agriculture educators throughout Pennsylvania and learn from them and really dig deeper into what we're teaching in Pennsylvania. And also NAAE, we just went to San Antonio, Texas to attend NAAE, and while we were there, I think that we all kind of interacted with both educators and student teachers that are in the same position that we are. We're all in the same boat trying to get from point A to point B. And just listening to their stories and listening to how they handled the stress and handled going about different things was an amazing opportunity to network with them. So experiences within professional development. Kind of going off of NAAE, while we were there, we went to a laser light show on the One Cathedral right down the street from our hotel, and that was really cool to kind of see the culture of San Antonio and see how that impacts the people in Texas. We were also able to do a biotechnology lab. That was a case lesson, and I really enjoyed that, and it actually made me think even deeper into if I really want to get case certified after graduation. Once I get certified as an agriculture educator, looking into the case curriculum. And we also got to interact with a lot of agriculture educators. Just to name a couple, Jessie Lumpkins from Tennessee was absolutely amazing. Her discussion on inclusivity within agriculture education really spoke to me and allowed me to increase my knowledge of special education and inclusivity within my agriculture education courses. And also Jessica Jones. She was just a really fun person, and the way that she handled situations within the area that she's in was really cool. So phase 3. How am I prepared to maximize my student teaching internship opportunity? So the next step is to leave from Happy Valley and go to Boonesboro, Maryland, where I will be a warrior for 15 weeks. So just a little bit about Boonesboro. In Maryland, they operate on a county system, so it's not necessarily the school district, but instead it's Washington County Public Schools. Some gems and some ops when I was looking at the program. Some gems is that they have a very heavy plant-based curriculum. Mrs. Quinn Cashel-Martin is very intelligent in the area of plant science and also in the area of agriculture mechanics. They do a lot of soil arrangements, they do a lot of greenhouse fundraisers, So it's definitely an area that I'm looking to grow in, and I think that I'll have that opportunity while I'm in Boonesboro. And also, GEM is, they're in a county system. That could go either way. So as a county system, I think that the students will have a better understanding of what the county is like as a whole and not just the area that they live in. I think that it'll give them a lot more networking opportunities within the county rather than just at their local level. And an opportunity for engagement that they have is that member engagement is a little bit low. The membership is about 30%, and also SAE integration. They are an affiliate membership, however, those members aren't necessarily active, and those members that are in FFA don't necessarily have an SAE. So having those SAE integration is definitely something that we can work on. So while I'm at Boonesboro, this is my day-to-day schedule. So I'll be teaching Power Mechanics 1 and 2, Greenhouse, Forestry and Soils, Ag Science, and I'm also finishing up a floral unit. So the way that the Maryland school calendar is, at least for Boonesboro, is that when I get there, I'll have 3 weeks of observation, and then when I start teaching, I'll have about 3 weeks that is the end of the semester. So, or at the end of the marking period, I'm sorry. So then when I get there, I'll have fresh new kids for the next, right off the bat, I get to go from Power Mech 1. I get to start pretty much from beginning to end with those kids. So it's definitely an interesting system, and I'm really excited to see how it differs from Pennsylvania. So organization. Organization is something that I've struggled with pretty much all of my life. So becoming organized has been something that I've definitely looked forward to this semester and had to really work on. So I found that multiple planners, not just one, multiple planners are necessary for me to realize what I need to do day to day. So I have a little booklet planner, and then I have a big giant planner that I can write all over, and I also have a desk planner that I'll be taking to Boonesboro with me, so that I have it written down in multiple different places, and I'm not looking for things every single day and not realizing where they are. Binders. The binders up here are going to be utilized throughout my entire student teaching experience. They'll be used for my unit plans, my lesson plans, any projects, any tests that the students take, any research that I'm doing. These binders are going with me and will most likely be full by the time I get back. Sticky notes. Sticky notes have been a lifesaver too. So in my planner, while I'm also writing down everything, I'm also putting sticky notes on everything that I know that I need to get done that's urgent, like right that day or right that week, so that I have it, again, written down multiple different times. And the Google Drive. The Google Drive has been a lifesaver. I don't have Word on my laptop, so using Google Drive and being able to utilize other people's resources has definitely saved me a lot of stress and a lot of hurt throughout the semester. So, trust the process. Basically, looking at myself as an individual, what do I need to work on, and what are some gems about myself? So, when I talked to my peers, to my cohort members, some of the things that they had to say were, I'm compassionate, I'm respectful, and I'm confident. And some of the things that I need to work on, along with being compassionate, I'm also very passionate about helping students. And one of the quotes that Dr. Foster has pretty much beaten into my head is that students don't need more friends. They need great role models and great mentors. And just being able to really think about that during my student teaching experience and realize that not every student's going to like you, and that's okay. You're not there to be their friend. You're there to increase their knowledge in agriculture and to really make them better students. Organization is still something that I really struggle with. Regardless of all of my Post-its and planners and everything else, organization could still be better, and I still am working on ways to make that better. And another weakness that I see in myself is that I don't ask for help. I don't ask questions. If I don't understand something, I just kind of sit back and try and figure it out on my own. I'm not the type of person that is willing to go to someone and ask for help. So I think that while I'm at Boonesboro, I really need to work on that and really need to utilize Miss Cashel Martin and be like, okay, I don't understand what I'm doing yet. Can you please help me? So my goals. So in student teaching, my goals are to maximize my students' uniqueness and their opportunities. I want all of my students to feel like they have a place within the agriculture education program and that they're loved and that they're wanted and accepted. And I also want to become a better educator. I think that as educators, we're always teaching and growing. And I think that by continuing to learn with my students will make me a better educator in the long run. Post-graduation. So after my student teaching experience, I will be returning to Penn State to finish my major as well as finish a minor. And also, I have recently been asked if I would be interested in applying for the 4+1 special education master's program. So utilizing my knowledge of special education and my knowledge of agriculture education to become certified in both areas and get a master's in either one of those areas. So definitely this year has been trying and it's been hard and it's been stressful. But with all 10 of us, or 12 on some occasions, including Brooke's little man Tucker and my dog Taylor, we've definitely come together as a cohort and we've definitely been able to help each other out and really encourage each other. So thank you to my cohort members, if you're watching this, for really kind of pushing me through this semester and helping me. What questions are there?
Awesome. So the way we handle questions is that we give approximately 15 minutes to the questions. And we give a round of applause. We give a 15 minutes, and we rotate from the live audience to the online or virtual audience to our teacher education panel. So we start with those in the room. What questions do you have for Kayla about the opportunities in front of her? Thomas Gable, member of PSU Ag Ed 22.
Yes, sir. So, Ms. Stauffer, you mentioned how an opportunity for growth at Boonesboro High School would be involvement in supervised agricultural experiences. What are some specific strategies you have for increasing student involvement in those experiences?
That's an awesome question. Thanks, Thomas. So one of the things that I've really looked into is implementing SAE Fridays. So that way the students are experiencing a different SAE every day, every week that I'm there, so that they know what's expected of them in those SAEs and how those SAEs relate to their career opportunities. I am also teaching an FFA and leadership unit, so within that they'll also get a taste of those SAEs and CDEs that FFA and Ag Ed has to offer them.
Let's go to our virtual audience.
Okay, this question comes from Allison Palmer. And Allison says that STEM is a progressive movement in education. What are specific examples of how you will incorporate STEM initiatives into your student teaching and future agriculture program?
So I think that STEM applies to pretty much every area of agriculture education. I think that within science, technology, engineering, and math, we should really be calling it STEAM, because agriculture has a place in every single one of those. So within agriculture education, specifically within agricultural mechanics, there's a lot of mathematics with figuring out dimensions, figuring out ratios, figuring out proportions, anything like that is integrated into specifically agricultural mechanics. And also with science, with your animal science and plant science curriculums, definitely the biology aspect and the anatomy and physiology aspects are heavily involved in both the animal science and plant science curriculums.
Thank you. Allison, of course, is a 2018 graduate, currently teaching at Tulpahawken in Pennsylvania. Dr. Curry or Dr. Ewing, which would like to go first? Dr. Curry?
Okay. Kayla, can you provide a time for me this semester where you've stretched from putting on, you talked about putting on a student hat and a teacher hat several times. Can you talk to me about a specific time where you transitioned from being just a regular old college student to, oh, now I'm a teacher, so I have to now make expectations for students. Can you provide a time you've done that for me this semester?
I think definitely during NAAE in San Antonio, Texas, where we were really interacting with those associations and with those agriculture educators throughout all of the United States. I think that realizing that it's okay to not be perfect, and that it's okay to not be students' friends was definitely something that impacted me throughout that experience and really got me to grow and stretch and make that leap from being a teacher to being, or from being a student to being a teacher.
Back to our audience in the room. Anybody can ask. Ms. Fisher. Ms. Fisher's a 2018 completer.
So, Kayla, you talked extensively, and I know personally about your passion for special education and how it's impacted your life. Can you tell me some specific things that you've pulled from your time with special education and how you're going to utilize it in your classroom at Boonesboro?
So, thanks, Macy. So, with special education, as Macy said, special education has definitely hit a soft spot in my life. For those of you that don't know, my little brother's autistic, so kind of seeing him grow up in the high school agriculture education system specifically has helped me to realize adaptations and accommodations that I can utilize for him. And in my coursework with special education and also observing at Boonesboro, we have 7 students that have special needs that are in our floriculture class. And watching how Ms. Quinn Cashel-Martin and all of the other students kind of gather around them and make them feel included and accepted in those areas, and specifically making accommodations and meeting those IEP requirements that each individual student has, because all students are different.
And to our virtual audience.
This question comes from Nathan Moyer. Since your cooperating school recently transitioned to affiliate membership, how are you specifically going to use that as a recruitment tool for the FFA component of the 3-circle model?
So, basically, since Maryland has recently implemented affiliation, I think that one of the main things is really hyping up the career opportunities and the leadership opportunities that FFA has to offer. So in my FFA and leadership unit, I'm definitely going to touch on FFA history and really, like Dr. Curry says, make them drink the Kool-Aid. Make them realize what FFA has to offer them and how they can become better members of not only the high school and their community, but of society as a whole. So definitely, and also within my units as a whole, all of my classes, I hope to implement some type of career development event that piques the interest of those students within that class.
Dr. Ewing's excited to ask you a question.
Yes, I am. In your teaching philosophy, you talk about agricultural education being very hands-on and incorporating hands-on learning through lab-based activities utilizing technology group projects. Tell me about one of your projects that you're very excited about teaching that would describe some of that, group-based or hands-on activities.
So one of the things I'm really looking forward to doing with the students at Boonesboro is a plumbing square. Having the students recognize the different types of metal and different types of pipe that are used in that welding or in that plumbing square, and also how to solder. So they're going to be in groups for that, and they're going to learn the types of pipe, and then they're also going to learn how to solder. And all of that will be hands-on. It'll be very much almost like an inquiry-based lesson where I provide the demonstration, but then they go and they do it on their own, and whatever ends up happening, and I'll provide guidance as needed, but for the most part, it's on them. And if they have questions, they can feel free to ask their peers in their group.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like for you to speak to your contribution to the success of PSU Ag Ed 19. How have you helped this team succeed?
So I think that one of the main things that I've done for the PSU Ag Ed 19 cohort is a lot of them have come to me and asked me questions about how to implement accommodations and adaptations for students with special needs. A lot of them don't understand how to make it so that every aspect of a student with special needs is met. A lot of times it's very generalized as far as, okay, their IEP plans will be implemented and will be followed. But a lot of them don't thoroughly understand what the different types of disabilities are and how we can use them to our advantage within the agriculture education field.
about one more question from either the virtual or the live audience? Anybody in the room? Okay.
We have a question from Zoom from Katie Smith. She'd like to know, what opportunities do you most look forward to being in a Maryland school district?
So I think that some of the opportunities that I'm looking forward to while being in Boonesboro and in Maryland is that county system and seeing how all of the schools interact together as a county, and also how Maryland does things differently than Pennsylvania. One of the main things that kind of struck my eye when I went and visited Boonesboro is just how different it is, even just 2 hours down the road from us. So how different the agricultural programs are and how different the socioeconomic status is in that area of Maryland and in Maryland as a whole as compared to Pennsylvania.
Of course, Katie is a graduate from 2018 who did her student teaching it in Erie. You're close to Erie. And Katie, as you're listening, it's still closer to go visit Kayla in Maryland than it is to go to Erie. Thought you'd find that humorous. So, I think it's time for your last question. Unless my panel members have other questions they'd like to ask. The final question for you, Kayla, is I want you to think about your audience being future Penn State student teachers. Some of them perhaps are sitting in this room, and I would like for you to provide in 90 seconds the most important piece of advice that you can give them for success. What advice do you have for future Penn State student teachers?
So I think that the most important piece of advice that I have for you is really lean on each other. Don't be afraid and go and lock yourself in your room at night. Make sure that you're utilizing that cohort and you're really utilizing that IGED family that is surrounding you. We have various mentors around you and various teachers that have experience that are more than willing to discuss any questions or any content matter that you would like information on. And also, don't be afraid to ask for help, both from your professors and from your colleagues as well. They're here to help you. They're not here to make you feel like you're not good enough or to feel like you're not important. And also, utilize your resources. Kind of overarching of that entire thing is utilize your resources. Don't stress about making those units and those lesson plans from scratch. Obviously, the ones that you do have to make from scratch, do a good job on them because it's something that you'll look back on and be proud of. But otherwise, don't be afraid to sit there and ask for help. Look at the Google Drive that you'll eventually get access to and really utilize the resources and the materials that are there for you. Everything is right there. You just have to know when to ask for it and how to implement it.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause for this.